this is why I shouldn't be in charge of my own money. Hey everyone, it's Jayla, and today I'm going to be unhauling some books. I should have gotten rid of these books a long time ago, but I was in denial. I'm still in denial, honestly, but today's the day. So I have nearly 30 books in this pile to show you. I should have had a lot more actually, but my friend convinced me that I didn't want to get rid of some of them. Like I said, I am in denial, and she also wants to take some for herself. So I cut down this pile by like 9 books, so you're welcome. But yeah, I have about 30 here, and I'm trying to go and sell them at my local bookstore so that I can get some money or get some credit at least and buy some more books that I don't need. So yeah, it's a vicious cycle. But let's just get into what I have in this pile. The first book that I'll be unhauling is H.P. Lovecraft short stories. Guess who it's by? H.P. Lovecraft. I picked this up actually this year, and I didn't know that this man was an extreme racist. If you don't know, look up the name of his cat, because someone told me to do that, and that's how I realized, oh. I didn't study Lovecraft in school, so I guess I just didn't really know about that kind of side of him, but I just knew that he was very famous for his short stories, and like he did Cthulhu and all these other stories. So yeah, I was just clueless, and I don't really want to support that, even though I've already given it my money, but hopefully I can sell it somewhere else and not have it. That being said, I was still interested in reading his stories, so I think that I will just find them online if I want to that badly, because I've actually had this for a few months now and still haven't read it, so I can find it online when I feel the actual compulsion to read it. Next, we have these 2 Batman novels. We've got The Court of Owls and The Killing Joke. These are books that I explained in my recent book haul I had bought because I thought they were graphic novels, but they were not graphic novels, and they are actual novels, so I don't think I'll actually read them, just because I don't really read superhero books, and definitely not in novel form, so I just don't see myself getting to these anytime soon or ever, and someone else will probably appreciate them more than I will. Then I have Wires and Nerves by Marissa Meyer. This is the companion graphic novel series to the Lunar Chronicles. I really love the Lunar Chronicles. It's such a cute fairy tale retelling sci-fi tale, and I would definitely read it again, so I'm keeping all those books. But as for the graphic novel, I just didn't feel like I needed this in my life. I love that it follows Iko, who was one of my favorite characters in the original series, but I just didn't really like this story that much. It wasn't necessary or just all that compelling to me, so I'm going to be getting rid of this. Next, I have some books that I feel are a little bit surprising. I have the Wayward Children series. I have the first 3 books in that series, but I read all 3 of them 2 years ago, like 2018, and I don't know, I don't have as strong attachments to them as some people do. I know people really love this series, but for me, it just wasn't that good. It was okay at best, and then I think I only really enjoyed the second one out of all of them. So yeah, these are just not something that I really feel I need to continue with, even though I do like the idea of them. So I think these are pretty popular, and someone will be happy to find them at my local bookstore later. Then we have The Serpent King by Jeff Zettner. I bought this, I don't even know when I bought this. I bought this like many years ago, and I haven't picked it up. I haven't read it. It's about this boy who's like in a religion that requires him, or like that is forcing him to wrestle with snakes, and he gets bullied at school for his religion and stuff like that. That's all I know, and that's not a very good summary. But yeah, I definitely don't care enough to try and read this one, as I've had it on my shelf for a while and it's not gonna get read. Alright, we have another series here. This is the Summoner Trilogy by Tar Matharu. I think that's how you say his name. Novice, Inquisition, and the Battle Mage. I was being unrealistic. I bought all these last year, and I was like, oh, I have all of them right here. I'm gonna read them. I'm gonna love them. I want to read more fantasy following dudes. And this one's like about a guy who can summon demons, and I'm pretty sure he uses that as a weapon to win a war and da-da-da-da. But I just didn't pick it up, and I'm really disappointed. I thought I would really fly through these, but I just didn't even really give the first one the time of day. So yeah, I hope someone wants them like I thought I wanted them. Another book that I have is Bright Smoke, Cold Fire. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling with zombies, I believe, somewhere in there. And it's by Rosamund Hodge. I read Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge years and years ago. Love that story. Ignifex is like my husband, but like not, but he's only my husband because I imagine him looking somewhat like Magnus Bane, but that's a tangent. Anyway, I have another book by Rosamund Hodge, but I never got to it, and I just don't see myself getting to it. Next, I have We Should Hang Out Sometime by Josh Sunquist. This was a cute little memoir about this guy who realized that he'd never had a girlfriend, and so he kind of retraces his girlfriends from the past and asks them like what happened, what went wrong, or just like what made us not become a couple. It was a cute little story, definitely very relatable, but I honestly have no real memories of it, and I didn't really feel that attachment to it when I read it anyway, so I figured this one could just go to someone else. Next, I have Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers, sorry. I read this a long time ago. This is one of those books that I literally read this in my school library first and then bought the book because I really did like this book a lot. I could keep this, I have nothing against it, but I do feel like I didn't even try and read the rest of the trilogy that this is involved in, and I just don't see myself ever coming back to it later in life, so I just don't need it on my bookshelf, and I need to make space on my bookshelf, so I think I'll get rid of this one, but I did really like this story, and now I'm on the fence again, holding it in my hands. Next, I have The Shadow Society by Marie Rakotsky. This is a book by one of my favorite authors. I love the Winter's Curse trilogy. It's on my favorites shelf over there. I actually read this book first, and it was okay, but it's also just okay. The next book I have is Red Riding Hood. This was actually turned into a movie with Amanda Seyfried, a long time ago. And I've had this on my shelf for a long time because I kept saying, I want to read this, I want to read this, I don't want to give this up. Because this has been on the borderline of unhaul or keep for a very long time, but I think I finally decided that it's time to let her go because I still haven't read her even after every time that I've saved her from previous unhauls. Next is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This book has been fairly popular on BookTube. I've seen it a couple of times and people have said it's their favorite book. I, however, don't feel like I was really that immersed in it. I did not finish it. I only got like a few pages into it and the writing kind of threw me off. So I'm on the fence about this one. I would love to hear people's thoughts on this one, whether it's worth it or not, whether it was a 5-star read or 2-star read. Then I have My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This will probably be something that someone who has read a lot of, what is it? Is it Jane Austen? Who is this by? Jane Eyre? Is it a Jane Eyre retelling? I don't even remember. It's one of those Janes. It's supposed to be very funny, but I tried to read it and I couldn't really get into it, so I'm gonna let her go. Okay, so this next one I'm super on the fence about, so please let me know if I'm making a huge mistake, but the next books that I have are An Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. These books I have had for quite some time, and I have tried to read the first book. I've at least tried 3 times to get through this book, and every time I can't really get past that first chapter. I get through the first chapter and then like I just don't feel the need to keep reading. I just don't enjoy it. So I don't know, maybe tell me if like it takes a long time to get into it. It is fantasy, so I can understand that. It just wasn't working for me. So I have this book and the sequel, and they are going in the unhaul pile unless someone tells me that they are amazing and I need to give them another try. Then I have Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. It's like a YA Western story, and it's a really pretty cover, so that's kind of the only thing that would compel me to keep it, but I don't really need to see a pretty cover if it's going to be turned in on my shelf all day. But yeah, I like the story. I read it many years ago now, don't really remember much of it, but it was good when I read it, so someone else will enjoy it too. Okay, so the next one I have is City of Saints and Thieves by Natalie C. Anderson. This is a book that I got because I thought it was really interesting. It follows a girl who's an assassin. She lives in Kenya, which is a setting that I don't get to read often. And I know that it's kind of a revenge plot because someone murdered the main character's mother, I believe. So all these things are very interesting. I bought it thinking, yes, I'll totally read this, but then I just didn't, and I'm disappointed by that, and I still could, but I don't feel that same urgency to do so. I don't feel that same interest, so I know that I probably won't get to this, especially since it's been on my shelf for so long. Also, it is written by a white woman, which is really interesting because she is American, but she's living in Switzerland, and she works with the United Nations, mostly on NGO work with African countries. So I don't know how fit she is to tell this story. She's not an African woman, but she does do work in Africa. I don't know. That also like leaves me a little iffy. That's something I didn't know before I bought it, and I was like, So it's time to say goodbye to this one, even though it has a very pretty cover and a really interesting premise. Okay. Another one I'm on the fence about, but like also I'm not on the fence about it. I just think I should have it for the memories. But here we have the Shatter Me series. I don't know, don't hate me. I know. I don't know what I'm thinking. I loved this trilogy when I was a sophomore in high school. And and there are characters in here like Kinji, who I love with my whole heart, and I had a huge crush on Warner when I was like in high school, but now I think that these books just don't do it for me. I know that if I read them again, I would not like them. I think as I'm getting older and more critical, I realized that the world building was not very good. The characters were kind of annoying, and I know that there's an additional 3 books that are kind of added to this trilogy, but I didn't feel any interest in reading them, so I'm like wondering, do I even want these? Because I don't think I do. And that makes me sad because I did love this trilogy, but I'm just not sure that I care about it anymore. I don't feel the same attachments. So I think I'm gonna say goodbye to these. Tare Mafi is releasing lots of new books. I read her newest contemporary, A Very Large Expanse of Sea, and loved it. So I'm excited to continue reading her, but I don't know about these. And finally, to round this all off, I have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And I have all of the books so far, I believe, that are in the series, including Map of Days, but however, I cannot unhaul Map of Days, and I will explain why. In 2018, I think it was, I went to see Tare Mafi at a signing that she was doing in DC to get A Very Large Expanse of Sea signed, and Ransom Riggs was also there, but I didn't have any of my, like I had the original trilogy at home, but I was at college, so I had to buy Map of Days so that I could get that signed by him, which I know was stupid and a waste of money, but I'm not going to just see Ransom Riggs in the same room and not try and get a book signed by Ransom Riggs. So yeah, I bought Map of Days and I got it signed, which is awesome, but that also means that I cannot now get rid of this book. So we're keeping this one even though I never finished Library of Souls. So I do want to just preface, I did try and give this series a shot. I did enjoy the first 2 books. I got halfway through Library of Souls. In fact, there's a bookmark here. I was 170 pages into Library of Souls, and there's a cute little picture of me as a baby. So I was using that as a bookmark. Glad I'm not getting rid of that. Let's not put that back in there. But yeah, so I just didn't really feel the need to finish the rest of the series, and probably won't. That is everything that I am trying to sell to my local bookstore today. So please let me know if you think I'm making some huge mistakes here, if there's some things I need to give a second shot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you in another video soon.